So Apex Legends is receiving its first major balance patch since launching last month, and I'm here to cover the major points of interest in the update that is now live on all platforms. The information on this update was covered in a Reddit developer post by JFresh last night, and covered everything from information on the battle pass, weapon and legend balance, and their ideas on balance changes and updates moving forward with the game. If you enjoy the video, please leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel. The post begins with JFresh addressing the interest in the timescale relating to the release of the Battle Pass, and I'm sure that myself and many others expected this patch, that we all knew was coming, to be released alongside Season 1 Battle Pass, and he covers that at the start of the post, saying, "We still have work to get everything ready for prime time and won't be talking to you about it yet." This makes sense that they would want to release a balance patch that is ready to go before waiting for the Battle Pass, as these balance changes should go a long way to solve some of the main complaints that players have had with the game since launch. In addition to the changes, the developers also clarify their intention with balance changes going forward, and the mentality they intend to employ when deciding and testing changes to the meta before applying patches to live. Developers Lee, Sean and JFresh all have input on this Reddit post and put across the main ideas that will dictate the frequency and intensity of balance changes moving forward. The post suggests that they intend to take player feedback, study the data that they get from the game, test different things and then playtest them to get the update perfect before release. I hope that this process of playtesting will eventually incorporate a public test realm or PTR server in the future to ensure that the updates that come into the game in the form of balance changes will be perfect when they reach the live servers. They continue the post by saying that they intend to make less frequent, better tested and higher impact changes so that it will minimise the effect it has on the time you spend on perfecting certain weapons, legends or playstyles, only for this to become obsolete through balance changes. This could go a long way to explaining that despite the general consensus of the overpowered nature of the wingman, that has taken them an extended period of time to address and change the impact that this weapon has on the meta. This is extremely promising for the game moving forward, as it is preferable to tune a weapon so that it doesn't feel like cheese to use for people that enjoy the weapon or legend, but at the same time not nerfing the weapon into oblivion so that it becomes completely pointless to use. They finalise their intended philosophy that they lay out here by saying that if a new weapon or legend is added to the game and completely dominates the meta from day one, that they will not sit back and do nothing, and would take control of the situation with balance changes to bring the new addition back in line with the rest of the current game. With that said, let's get into the weapon balance changes, and you guessed it, the first weapon to be tuned is the wingman. Many people have been calling for this change, and even some streamers such as Shroud have completely abstained from using the weapon entirely. The changes are as follows. The rate of fire has been reduced from 3.1 to 2.6 shots per second. Skull Piercer headshot damage multiplier has been reduced from 2.5 to 2.25. They have also increased the base hipfire spread and decreased the rate at which hipfire spread decays, which it shrinks back down. These changes seem to address the main areas of concern with the weapon. Hipfire spam in close range seemed a little bit cheesy, and these have clearly been addressed with this update. Additionally, the damage with Skull Piercer hop up has been slightly tuned down, but not an insane amount. This will still keep the high skill ceiling with the weapon, which the devs stated is their intention, but still reducing the incredible damage that the weapon is capable of putting out. I'm happy with these changes, and I can still see the weapon being incredibly useful, albeit with it being a little more skill based due to the tuned fire time and hipfire spread. The second and last weapon to be tuned in the update is the Peacekeeper. The updates are as follows. Shotgun bolt rechamber rate has been reduced for the Peacekeeper only. Level 1 mitigation 10% to 7.5%, Level 2 mitigation 20% to 13%, and Level 3 mitigation from 25% to 16%. This should cause the fire rate of the shotgun to be reduced with certain attachments, making players more vulnerable between missed shots and requiring you to be more accurate with each shell to avoid Peacekeeper spam. Finally, they have stated that the availability of the Wingman and Peacekeeper has been reduced in all zones, so these weapons are still more rare than they are currently. This should definitely assist with the issue of players absolutely dominating with these weapons in the early game when fighting against players with the Mozambique. Speaking of Mozambiques, the developer addressed the weaker weapons of the game, such as the pistol shotgun and the P2020, and say that the intention is for some weapons to be weaker and for a power curve to be present in the weapons, so buffs for these weaker guns are not planned for any update soon. To finalise the weapon changes, the developers also state that energy weapons and the ammo they require has been increased in all zones. The post also covers the developers' intentions with the hitbox issue that has arisen in the last couple of weeks, and state that their intention moving forward with the game is to have legends of differing rig sizes and hitboxes, but to have their ability kits allow for these hitbox issues to be balanced out, and therefore have each character roughly equal in power level. Personally, I think that for this to be successful, an approach similar to Overwatch may need to be put into place, whereby each character has a different health total, if they are a tank, to compensate for increased ease it is to cause damage to them. They end this comment by stating that they would rather increase the power of the larger characters in some way, rather than making the other, more smaller characters worse. I definitely think that this is the way to go, and that health total may be an area that could be looked into. With all that being said, they say that they are working on tuning the hitboxes for the larger characters, Gibraltar, Pathfinder and Caustic, but these are still in progress and they plan to have them released before the start of Season 1. In addition to the weapon balance, slight legend changes were also implemented that weren't major but still may slightly influence how each character is played. For Caustic, traps have reduced cooldown to 25 seconds from 30 seconds. They've increased the radius of the traps and proximity by about 10%, and they have removed a 1 second delay on the smoke dealing damage to players. For Pathfinder, they have made the memeable change of changing the number of beacons in the world from 12 to 10. Pathfinder means Unite. There is also slight tuning with Lifeline, Wraith and Bangalore, arguably the 3 strongest characters in the game, with Lifeline having the slight chance of level 4 legendary helmets and armour removed from the care package. Wraith's Q, Into the Void, has had its cooldown increased from 20 to 25 seconds, and Bangalore's double time speed increase has been reduced to 30% from 40%. Finally, some Caustic, Pathfinder and Gibraltar bugs that were causing players to disconnect were addressed in the patch, so these shouldn't be an issue anymore. All in all, I'm very happy with this first balance patch to Apex, and I'm glad the approach that the devs are taking with balance and not rushing out big sweeping changes to the meta every week. If you made it this far, thank you very much for watching, I really appreciate it. Please leave a like if you enjoyed the video and consider subscribing for more Apex content.